You've probably dealt with a disrespectful person before, someone who raises their voice, belittles you, or tries to get under your skin. Maybe it was a co-worker who constantly undermined you, a so-called friend who threw subtle jabs at you, or even a stranger who decided to be rude for no reason. Most people react in one of two ways. They either snap back, escalating the conflict, or they stay silent, letting the disrespect slide. But neither of these responses gives you real power. Fighting back turns into an ego battle that you can't win, and ignoring it often makes them double down. So, what if you could shut them down without looking weak and without wasting your energy? The secret is in your words. If you choose them wisely, you can calm an aggressive person, turn their own emotions against them, or even leave them speechless. In this video, I'll give you powerful words, some calm and disarming, others brutally honest. That will let you control any disrespectful interaction. Some of these words will diffuse the situation, some will force them to self-reflect, and others will make them rethink ever talking to you that way again. Let's get into it. By the way, if you enjoy deep, thought-provoking insights on Stoicism, self-improvement, and navigating life with wisdom, you'll love my free newsletter. Every Sunday, I share powerful lessons, controversial truths, and practical strategies to help you level up, all for free. Want to join? Sign up using the link below and start receiving value-packed content straight to your inbox every week. And if you're a brand looking to sponsor my content and reach a highly engaged audience, feel free to reach out via my email in the description. Let's create something impactful together. 1. This attitude is why people avoid you. Have you ever met someone who constantly complains that people ignore them, avoid them, or cut them out of their lives, yet they never take a second to consider why? Maybe they say things like, "People just can't handle my honesty," or "Everyone is fake these days." But if you step back and look at their behavior, it becomes painfully obvious. Their attitude is the problem. The hard truth. It's not them, it's you. A few years ago, I had a friend. Let's call him Jake. Jake was intelligent, driven, and had a sharp sense of humor. But he had one fatal flaw. He treated social interactions like a battlefield. Every conversation felt like a debate. Every disagreement turned into an argument, and every slight inconvenience was a personal attack against him. He would say things like, "I just tell it like it is. If people can't handle the truth, that's their problem. I don't sugarcoat things. If someone is being stupid, they need to hear it. I don't need fake friends." At first, people tolerated it, but over time, his social circle shrank. People stopped inviting him to gatherings. Group chats went silent when he spoke, and slowly he became isolated. The worst part? He genuinely didn't understand why. One day he vented to me saying, "People just don't want to hear the truth. They're so sensitive these days." I had to hit him with the harsh reality. "No, Jake. People don't avoid you because you're too real. They avoid you because you make them feel bad about themselves. There's a difference between honesty and being an asshole. When honesty becomes an excuse for being unpleasant. A lot of people hide behind the excuse of brutal honesty. But here's the thing. Being honest does not mean being cruel. There's a fine line between telling the truth and using honesty as a weapon to belittle others. If every time you speak, people leave the conversation feeling worse about themselves, that's not you being real. That's you being toxic. And people will distance themselves from you. Calling someone lazy instead of saying, "Hey, I think you're capable of more than this," isn't honesty, it's an attack. Telling someone, "No wonder no one likes you," instead of, "Maybe the way you're handling this is pushing people away," isn't the truth, it's cruelty. Shaming someone for making a mistake instead of guiding them to improve isn't bluntness, It's arrogance. If your honesty regularly leads to conflict, loneliness, and resentment, then maybe it's not honesty that's the problem. It's your delivery. Controversial take. Your energy dictates how people treat you. Some people will read this and say, "Well, I don't care if people avoid me. I don't need anyone." That's another lie people tell themselves to justify their own toxicity. Humans are social creatures. Even the most independent, self-sufficient person thrives on positive interactions, and the reality is, the energy you put out is the energy you receive. If your vibe is constantly negative, sarcastic, condescending, always pointing out flaws, people will start dreading being around you. Not because they're weak, but because no one wants to be surrounded by negativity. And here's the brutal part. People won't tell you they're avoiding you. They'll just slowly fade away. Calls will go unanswered. Plans will suddenly be up in the air. Your texts will be met with one-word responses. And one day, you'll look around and realize that no one is really there anymore. Personal story. The moment I realized my attitude was the problem. I'm not writing this from a place of judgment. I've been there. Years ago, I had a phase where I thought I was the smartest person in the room. I would shut down people's ideas, mock things I thought were dumb, and approach every conversation like a debate I had to win. And guess what happened? People stopped engaging with me. I remember sitting at a group dinner where everyone was chatting and laughing, and I felt completely out of place. It hit me. I wasn't being too smart for these conversations. I was just being unpleasant to talk to. I made people feel like their thoughts didn't matter. Why would anyone want to be around that? It was a wake-up call. I had to ask myself, do I want to be right, or do I want to be liked? And honestly, being right all the time wasn't as fulfilling as having real, meaningful connections. 2. You're proving why no one respects you. Respect isn't something you demand. It's something you command through your actions, your demeanor, and the way you treat others. Yet, the most disrespected people are often the ones who constantly complain about how no one respects them. They throw tantrums, demand attention, act like the loudest voice in the room, and then wonder why people roll their eyes instead of listening. The truth? Respect is lost the moment you start begging for it. The loud and proud fallacy. We've all seen that one person who constantly boasts about how real and powerful they are, yet nobody actually takes them seriously. They act like their opinion is the only one that matters. They refuse to listen, and they mistake fear for respect. But respect isn't about being feared. It's about being valued. Think about it. The boss who screams at employees to show dominance isn't respected. He's tolerated. The guy who brags about his money, muscles, or alpha status isn't respected. He's mocked. The person who constantly plays the victim, whining about how people don't respect them, isn't pitied. They're dismissed. If you have to constantly tell people to respect you, chances are they don't. Personal story. When I lost respect without realizing it, I learned this the hard way. There was a time when I thought respect came from proving myself in every situation, correcting people, arguing my points aggressively, and making sure everyone knew I was the smartest guy in the room. I thought that was the way to earn admiration. It wasn't. One day I was in a heated discussion with a friend about something trivial, something that didn't even matter. I bulldozed over his opinion, dissected his argument, and acted like I won the conversation. I expected him to nod and admit I was right. Instead, he sighed and said, "You know, you're proving exactly why no one respects your opinion." That hit hard. I realized in that moment that I wasn't gaining respect. I was losing it. People didn't see me as someone to look up to. They saw me as someone exhausting to talk to. I had confused dominance with respect, and I wasn't the only one. The number one sign that no one respects you. Here's a brutal truth. If people constantly dismiss you, ignore your input, or only deal with you when they have to, they don't respect you. Signs include: they don't take your words seriously, they avoid asking for your advice, they give you bare minimum responses in conversations, they don't acknowledge your achievements or contributions, they only interact with you when they need something. And here's the harshest part. No one will tell you directly. They won't say, "Hey, I don't respect you." Instead, they'll just silently treat you like an afterthought. Why you're losing respect and how to fix it. Most people lose respect because of three major behaviors. 1. Acting like a victim instead of taking responsibility. Nothing kills respect faster than playing the victim. If every bad thing in your life is someone else's fault, people stop seeing you as capable. Fix. Own your mistakes, control your emotions, and move forward. People respect those who handle life with composure. 2. Talking more than you listen. People respect those who make them feel heard. If you're always the one speaking, correcting, and debating, you're alienating others instead of connecting with them. Fix. Listen twice as much as you speak. When people feel valued in your presence, they will naturally respect you. 3. Confusing. Fear with respect. Many people mistake intimidation for respect, but fear is temporary. True respect lasts. Fix. Instead of demanding respect, embody the qualities that earn it: integrity, confidence, and wisdom. Final thought: you can't force respect, you can only earn it. If you feel like no one respects you, the problem isn't with them, it's with how you present yourself. Respect is given to those who show strength without arrogance, who listen before they speak, and who carry themselves with quiet confidence. So next time you feel the urge to demand respect, ask yourself, am I proving why I deserve it? Because at the end of the day, people don't respect words, they respect actions. 3. You're not as important as you think. Let's be honest. Most people walk around thinking they're the main character. They believe their opinions matter more than others, that their problems deserve special attention, and that the world should adjust to their existence. But here's the harsh reality. You're not as important as you think, and neither am I. Sounds brutal, right? But the sooner you accept this, the more powerful you become. Nobody cares as much as you think they do. Ever left a social event thinking, did I sound stupid? Or did they notice my mistake? Guess what? They didn't. People are too busy worrying about themselves to care about every little thing you do. Psychologists call this the spotlight effect. We overestimate how much people notice or care about our actions. In reality, no one is paying as much attention to you as you believe. This is freeing, because once you realize this, you stop wasting energy on trying to impress people who don't think about you, overanalyzing every small mistake, holding back out of fear of judgment. Most people are too caught up in their own lives to give you more than a passing thought. So stop treating every moment like the world is watching, because it's not. You're replaceable, and that's a good thing. Here's a cold, hard truth. If you vanished tomorrow, the world wouldn't stop. Your job would find a replacement. Your friends would grieve, but life would move on. The universe wouldn't even flinch. Harsh? Maybe. But it's also a relief. It means you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to live under crushing pressure to be someone great. Instead of chasing validation, you can focus on what truly matters, doing meaningful work, enjoying your life, and making an impact where it actually counts. The danger of thinking. You're too important. Believing you're more important than you actually are leads to 3 major problems. 1. You expect special treatment. People who think they're special often feel entitled, whether it's respect, attention, or success. They expect doors to open just because they exist. But here's the thing. Life doesn't reward entitlement. It rewards effort. Nobody owes you admiration. You earn it through your actions, not your assumptions. 2. You overreact to criticism. When you believe you're the center of the universe, any critique feels like an attack. You take things personally, you get defensive, and you refuse to learn. But people who grow the most are the ones who listen instead of react. Accept that you're just one person among billions, flawed, learning, evolving. Once you do, criticism stops feeling like an insult and starts feeling like an opportunity. 3. You struggle with rejection. If you think you're important, rejection feels like a personal failure. You assume people don't see your greatness, when in reality, they're just making choices that have nothing to do with you. Sometimes, rejection isn't about you at all. It's just life moving in a different direction. And the sooner you realize this, the easier it is to move forward without bitterness. The paradox. Accepting you're not important makes you more powerful. Ironically, the moment you stop thinking you're so important is the moment you start living with real confidence. Why? Because true confidence doesn't come from needing to be admired. It comes from knowing your worth without needing constant validation. You stop overanalyzing every interaction. You stop fearing judgment. You stop trying to prove yourself to people who aren't even thinking about you. And guess what? That kind of confidence is what actually makes people notice and respect you. Final thought. You're not the main character, and that's okay. You're not as important as you think, but that's not an insult. It's freedom. It means you can stop performing for others and start living for yourself. So next time you catch yourself worrying about what people think, feeling entitled to attention, or taking rejection personally, remind yourself, you're just a small part of a much bigger world. And that's a good thing, because instead of trying to be important, you can focus on being useful, impactful, and truly alive. 4. Enjoy being miserable. I won't join you. Some people love misery. They cling to negativity like it's their life's purpose. They complain about their problems, but never seek solutions. They talk about how unfair life is, but never take action. They expect you to nod along, sympathize, and sink into the same pit of self-pity with them. But here's the thing, I refuse. You can enjoy your misery all you want, but I won't be joining you. Misery loves company, and that's the problem. Ever noticed how negative people always try to pull others down with them? They'll disguise it as venting, as just being realistic, or as looking out for you. But in reality, it's a trap. They mock your ambitions because they have none. They highlight every reason why something won't work, instead of finding solutions. They make their problems your problems, because they don't want to face them alone. But here's the truth. Being around miserable people makes you miserable too. Energy is contagious. If you surround yourself with negativity, you'll start seeing the world through the same dark, defeated lens. And before you know it, you're just another person complaining about life instead of living it. And that's not the life I signed up for. Not my circus, not my misery. Some people wear their suffering like a badge of honor. They thrive on drama. They live for arguments. They love playing the victim because it absolves them of responsibility. But that's their choice, not mine. I'm not heartless. I'll help people who genuinely want to change. I'll listen, I'll offer advice, I'll support growth, but I won't carry someone who refuses to walk. I won't drown in someone else's negativity just to keep them company. If your identity is built around being miserable, that's your business. But I'm choosing something different: peace, progress, and purpose. Why I choose to walk away? 1. Misery is addictive, and I don't want the habit. Negativity is like quicksand. The more time you spend in it, the harder it is to escape. The best way to avoid getting stuck is to not step into it at all. I've seen it before. Someone starts complaining about their job, their relationships, their past mistakes. At first, they just want to let it out. Then, it becomes their entire personality. Every conversation turns into a rant session. Every interaction is fueled by bitterness. And the worst part, they don't want solutions. They just want company in their misery. I refuse to be part of that cycle. 2. I value my peace more than your complaints. I used to listen to complainers out of politeness. I'd nod, give advice, try to be supportive. But then I realized my peace is worth more than their problems. If all you do is bring drama and self-pity, I'll happily walk away without a second thought. Because here's the reality. Life is already challenging. Why make it harder by surrounding yourself with negativity? 3. I have a life to build, not a pity party to attend. While some people sit around feeling sorry for themselves, I'm busy creating, growing, and improving. Misery doesn't move me forward. Action does. We all go through struggles. We all have bad days. But there's a difference between processing pain and wallowing in it forever. Some people refuse to move on, not because they can't, but because they won't. And I won't stay stuck with them. How to avoid getting pulled into misery. Misery is a black hole. It sucks you in before you even realize it. So how do you escape it? Or better yet, how do you avoid it altogether? 1. Recognize the patterns. There are warning signs that someone is addicted to misery. They never take responsibility for their actions. They always blame others for their problems. They reject solutions and focus only on what's wrong. They drain your energy instead of adding to it. Once you recognize these patterns, distance yourself. 2. Protect your energy. Not every problem is yours to solve. Not every complaint deserves your attention. Set boundaries with negative people. You don't owe them your time, your energy, or your peace. 3. Surround yourself with growth-oriented people. The people you spend time with influence your mindset. Choose people who uplift you, challenge you, and inspire you. Be around those who focus on solutions, not just problems. Final thought. Choose growth over gloom. You can wallow in negativity or you can rise above it, but you can't do both. So if you want to be miserable, that's your choice. Just don't expect me to join you. I've got better things to do, like actually living with purpose and joy. And the best part? You can choose this too. 5. I expected better from you. This sentence hits differently. It's not just a statement. It's a mirror reflecting someone's failure to meet even their own standards. Unlike insults or sarcasm, this phrase carries a quiet weight, a mix of disappointment, lost faith, and a call to do better, and that's what makes it so powerful. I remember using this phrase once on a close friend, and the reaction was unforgettable. We had been friends for years, but over time I noticed something. Every time life didn't go his way, he would lash out at everyone around him. If he failed at something, it was someone else's fault. If someone called him out on his mistakes, he'd attack their character instead of owning up to it. One day, during a group discussion, he started belittling someone over a minor mistake, acting superior, as if he had never failed before. It was uncomfortable to watch. Everyone stayed quiet, probably thinking, that's just how he is. But I couldn't. I looked him in the eye and said, I expected better from you. Silence. He laughed it off at first, but I saw the shift in his face. Unlike an argument which he could fight back against, this was different. It wasn't an attack. It was a simple truth. He knew it, and the more he thought about it, the more it sank in. Why this phrase works so well? It forces self-reflection. Unlike insults, which trigger defensiveness, this statement challenges a person to consider their actions. It makes them wonder, am I really being the person I claim to be? It carries authority. This isn't begging, whining, or insulting. It's an assertion that you believe they are capable of better and that right now they're failing. It shifts the power dynamic. When someone is being disrespectful, they expect resistance, anger, or an argument. Instead, this phrase puts the responsibility back on them. A controversial take: if someone doesn't care, walk away. Not everyone will respond to this phrase with self-awareness. Some people will scoff, roll their eyes, or try to gaslight you into thinking you're the problem. If that happens, take note. This person might not be worth your time. Because here's the truth. If someone repeatedly disappoints you and doesn't care, it's time to stop expecting better. I used to believe everyone had the capacity to grow, but experience has taught me otherwise. Some people love their excuses, their bad habits, and their victim mindset. If that's the case, you have to make a decision. Do you keep expecting better from someone who refuses to change? Or do you move on and surround yourself with people who actually value growth? The choice is yours. But remember, your standards shape your life. 6. You wouldn't talk to me like this if you respected yourself. The hidden truth behind disrespect. Have you ever noticed that the most disrespectful people often have the lowest self-esteem? They lash out, belittle others, and act aggressively. But deep down, it's not because they're powerful, it's because they're weak. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to take it personally. But pause for a second. Instead of reacting emotionally, look at the situation objectively. Would someone who truly respects themselves feel the need to tear others down? Absolutely not. A person with genuine self-respect doesn't waste energy attacking others. They uplift, they listen, they communicate with dignity. So the next time someone speaks to you with hostility, remember this: their words are a reflection of how they see themselves, not how they see you. The psychology of disrespect. Disrespect often comes from insecurity. It's a defense mechanism, a way to mask feelings of inadequacy. The person speaking to you rudely might feel powerless in their own life and try to regain control by putting others down, harbor deep resentment toward themselves and project it outward. Lack emotional intelligence and be unable to process their feelings in a healthy way. Be desperate for validation and believe that dominance equals respect. But here's the kicker: true self-respect doesn't demand respect. It naturally commands it. People who genuinely respect themselves don't feel the need to prove their worth by diminishing others. They exude quiet confidence. They handle disagreements with grace. And they understand that putting others down doesn't elevate them. It only exposes their own inner turmoil. A real-life example: the boss who yelled too much. Years ago, I had a boss who screamed at everyone. He belittled employees, mocked mistakes, and made people feel small. At first, I thought he was just a tough leader, but the more I observed him, the clearer it became. He wasn't strong. He was insecure. He was terrified of losing control. He was desperate to be seen as an authority figure, and because he didn't truly respect himself, he sought validation through intimidation. One day, I decided to call him out. During a meeting where he was berating a co-worker, I said calmly, "You wouldn't talk to me like this if you respected yourself." The room went silent. He stared at me, stunned. For the first time, he had nothing to say, because deep down, he knew I was right. His disrespect toward others was proof of his lack of respect for himself. Why this phrase works like a mirror. When you tell someone, "You wouldn't talk to me like this if you respected yourself," you're not just defending yourself, you're exposing their inner struggle. You're forcing them to confront an uncomfortable truth. Their behavior says more about them than it does about you. It's an instant power shift. They expected you to get emotional, to argue, to react. But instead, you've flipped the script. Now they have to question themselves. The controversial take: people who disrespect others secretly hate themselves. This might sound extreme, but think about it. Would a happy, confident, self-assured person go out of their way to be cruel? Would they insult strangers? Would they humiliate friends? Would they need to win every argument? Number. Because a person who truly values themselves doesn't seek power in the humiliation of others. They don't feel the need to prove themselves by being condescending. The people who are the loudest, meanest, and most aggressive are often the ones who feel the most powerless inside. Their insults, a desperate attempt to hide their insecurity, their arrogance, a mask for self-doubt, their need to dominate, a sign that they feel deeply inadequate. And the second you tell them, "You wouldn't talk to me like this if you respected yourself," you force them to face that reality. How to use this in real life? If someone is disrespecting you, don't get defensive. Don't sink to their level. Instead, stay calm. Emotion feeds their ego. Stay composed. Make eye contact. Confidence unsettles insecure people. Deliver the line slowly. Let them feel the weight of the words. Walk away if needed. You don't need their validation. When you refuse to engage in their toxicity, they're left with their own reflection, and that's more powerful than any argument you could ever have. Final thought: the way someone treats others is a reflection of themselves. Disrespectful people aren't strong. They're broken. They aren't dominant. They're desperate. They aren't powerful. They're insecure. And the best way to expose that? Hold up a mirror and make them see it for themselves. At the end of the day, how people treat you is a reflection of them, not you. When someone disrespects you, it's not because you deserve it. It's because they lack self-respect. And the moment you realize this, their words lose all power over you. The strongest response isn't to argue, fight back, or seek revenge. It's to stand your ground, stay calm, and remind them, without anger or emotion, that their disrespect says more about them than it ever could about you. So next time someone tries to put you down, don't take the bait. Instead, let them sit with their own reflection, because people who truly respect themselves never feel the need to tear others down, and the moment you expose that, they'll have no choice but to question their own behavior. Stay strong, stay grounded, and never let someone's insecurity shake your confidence.